Hey everybody, my name is Mike. I'm the general manager for the Los Angeles Valiant Overwatch League team, and I'm also the project head for the Immortals Valorant squad. With me today, I've got Packing 10, who's the head coach of the LA Valiant, and Gunba, the assistant coach of the LA Valiant, to discuss kind of how we put together this roster and how we're going to run the project going forward.
Hey guys, I'm Packing 10, head coach of the LA Valiant. I've been working with Immortals and the Los Angeles Valiant since 2018. Started as an assistant coach here, progressed through 2019 as the interim head coach, and then took over full time as the head coach of the LA Valiant at the end of last year.
Hey guys, I'm Gunba. I actually originally joined the Valiant in the inaugural season before the preseason, and I missed a year somewhere in there that we can forget about, but I'm back with the Valiant now and helping work on the Immortals Valorant team as well as the Overwatch League team with Packing and Mike.
So I know what everyone's probably thinking, why do we have Overwatch coaches working in a game that people have predominantly thought of as going to be, CSGO with abilities, right? So when we looked at how we wanted to approach Valorant, and we said, okay, we definitely want to be in this as an esport at Immortals and IGC, we kind of took some of our learnings from this past offseason with the Valiants, where we actually had to basically retool an entire roster, which challenges our traditional approaches to how esports teams are built. So we said, let's look at how we've done this. Let's use the successes and learnings from that process, and let's apply it to a new title, and let's make sure we do it better. We have the tools and the experience that we can actually implement that. So
yeah, and when it came to Valorant for myself and I know Gunba, we were both very excited when we saw the news of Valorant, because we thought that it kind of breaks the mold of a traditional tactical shooter game. But going back to the process of how we build rosters and why we do it the way we do it, it's because we want to be objective. We create an open tryout format where we open applications to anyone, invite certain people if we see them on the ladder or think they have talent, and we put them through the ringer. We put them into an environment where they're not extremely comfortable, where there's pressure, where they can actively see if they're going up or down in stock value with the organization and with the team building. And it's a great way to break the mold and be able to initially see that talent that's out there, as well as being able to be really objective with it, which
yeah, I mean, just to clear up something that should be mentioned as well, we jumped at the opportunity to do this. We actually asked to do this. We knew that Valorant wanted Immortals wanted a Valorant team, and we thought we could help out, so we told Mike we could do that, and we started the process that we used in Overwatch League. And we all have CS experience, we all have Overwatch League experience. We're reasonably well versed in tac shooters. It's not something that's like too far out of our comfort zone, I would say. But the big advantage we had is that we thought, from what we've seen from every other team that had been built in the game up until that point, all the teams entering tournaments, all the other organizations building teams, we felt like there was a lot of friend groups being built. People were kind of getting their friends into their teams, and the end result was these teams that we felt weren't fully finished. They had like a few players who were really weak and a few players who were really strong, maybe like one or two dominant voices, and in our mind that's no way to build a team. We think that teams need coaches, we think that teams need staff, we think that teams need organizational support, and they have to be built that way from the start. So picking up a full roster wasn't really something that we thought was a good idea, so we went with, as Packing said, more of like a statistics, analytics type approach. We did open tryouts. We tried out probably about 100 players at this point. We are closing on a 5th player, which is great. But specifically to talk about the stat stuff, yeah, we do a bunch of machine learning stuff like that. There's no API at this stage, so and
it really does help with the objectivity of what we're doing, because I think that's the biggest trick and the biggest flaw that you have when making a team is you end up seeing one or two players, and you, for whatever reason, you have your eye on them, or you think they're really good, or you had a good experience with them, and then it shifts the mold of how you're thinking and how you see the game and who you're going to put on the team. And with that extra step of the analytics, it really helps us make sure that we're making the best decisions in roster building, and then we're able to use our coaching skills that we've learned through multiple games to be successful in helping develop and teach players how to be better teammates, how to be better people, and how to be Valorant players and not Counter-Strike players, or Valorant players and not Overwatch players, or Fortnite, or whatever game it is.
So I think that kind of covers how we want to approach things. But getting into more specifics, like the actual players on our roster, we definitely had a good core group in mind when we first picked these guys up. I think we got our first 4 within the same 2-week span.
Yeah,
essentially.
we got 3 from open tryouts,
3 from
and
open
then
tryouts, yeah.
the first scrim block we had with those 3, we saw a player on the other team, Cola, that we felt was exceptional, and reached out to him straight away. So that was really fortunate, to be honest. That wasn't the process, that was luck, but you take those. I think the striking thing about this process is that we know it's going to work. We've seen that with the Overwatch League team. We're really confident in the process, but I think one of the most amazing things about what happened in Valorant was that the moment we started scrimming with this roster, I think I even told Mike it's going to take us a month before we can compete with top teams. I said that to him. Our first 3 scrims were against top teams and top organizations, and we won every single one of them. Like, our immediate results have been really, really strong as well. And that makes us even more confident that we have an edge on other teams right from the get-go, right? Almost every player on our roster was someone that wasn't being looked at. They were on a team that was underperforming. They weren't seen as exceptional. They weren't getting tryouts for top teams. And immediately they're suddenly, in a scrim playing together and beating these teams that wouldn't even look at them. And that's something we love to see. Like, that's something that's really, really rewarding about this whole process, is that you get to surprise people by giving people the opportunities they should have had from the start.
But I guess to talk about the specific players on our team now, since we kind of give a decent overview of the process, let's who was the first one we actually officially signed? I think it was
Staniel?
Bjor. Bjor or Stan.
Bjor?
So let's talk about Bjor and like what what he brings, and we'll go through Stanny and then Gang, and then we'll talk about Kohler last, and then we can talk about how we're running on our 5th and trying to figure that one out too. So with Bjor, I remember interviewing him. Mr. Trap shooting in high school kind of guy, super laid back, super chill. I think from like a broad context brings brings a good kind of PMA to the team along with Kohler. But in game he's primarily our Sage player. So
he's one of the guys that you enjoy to be on a team with, and he's always got that positive attitude. He's always cracking jokes. He's really easy to work with in terms of if you give him some feedback, like, or if he's not mentally in it right at the moment, and you tell him to get back into it, then he corrects himself. He's really self-aware and very, very, very easy to work with. Yeah, a good coachable player. So.
And then so then we got from him, we also got Stanny, who's the brains and the Cypher one trick of our team, and Jet's number 1 enemy, if you will.
He's my public enemy number 1 too, because he hates Jet. But Stanny, I think, is he's a special kind of smart. We really don't want to have one solid IGL on the team. We want to build a more laissez-faire comm system with everyone being able to pitch in and kind of break the traditional mold of attack shooter. But he definitely carries the communication in a lot of different ways and is extremely intelligent, extremely smart. He does a lot in the reviews to help people. He's again a very hard worker. Just a good guy to be around.
Yeah, he was a professional battalion player, I believe, or also a professional Krunker player. Like, these are not the types of games you usually scout from, but we put him in our tryouts, and like right away we noticed that people would call things. Everyone in a tryout wants to be a leader, and everyone wants to call what site you should go to or how you should approach a situation. And he would immediately identify, if that call was wrong or if that call was really dumb and needs to be fixed. And we realized straight away that he had a higher level of intelligence than most of the people in our tryouts, and he's also a really good aimer, a really good Cypher player. So just the whole package, I think.
And the last one of the 3 we signed in the initial batch from our open tryouts, the last one was Gangsta. So this guy, I think he got recommended to us to look at, and we actually invited him into the second round because he didn't come in fully open. But we tried him out, and I think instantly just made such an impact, and was willing to kind of try everything. And I know, being on the team, I always see him posting like, hey, let me hop in and do these arrows. Hey, let me hop in and do these mollies. Hey, you want me to play Raze? Sure, I'll play Raze. You want me to play Phoenix? Whatever. Like, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. So just a great attitude from him, all the time.
Yeah, Gang was someone who you could just tell had an instant impact, and like Mike said, he's extremely flexible. He plays anything, and he's willing to play anything and willing to learn. And that's also another characteristic that we were looking for in players, not only through him, but through everyone. It was something of an open-mindedness, because yes, there may be a meta in NA right now, and there's a meta in Korea, and there's a meta in Europe and everywhere else. But if players are not open-minded to trying new things, to experimenting, to taking practice as practice, and really having that that open-mindedness in general, long term, it's going to be really tough in Valorant because it's not a game where you could play the same 5 agents over and over again. It's going to be a game where you can benefit from being creative and from doing things other teams aren't used to, and more of the MOBA-esque or Overwatch-esque elements of composition picking and things like that. So he brought a lot to the table in terms of that and the attitude, and he's an insanely talented aimer. He's kind of the complete package in my mind.
Yeah. And so out of those three, those are kind of the guys that we found, from our tryout process, and then we kind of walk into the happenstance one that is Kohler.
First scrim block.
Literally first scrim block. We're like,
Yeah.
man, this guy just wrecked us, right?
We needed a Brim player as well at that time.
Yeah. Now we're looking for Brim, and we're like, wow, this guy plays Brim and he's good. So let's just let's throw him in. I think we trialed him for 2 days, and then it was gave him a call
really
on that Monday.
turnaround.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
Gave him a call. He seems super chill guy. Really keeps everyone pretty level-headed. Always comes in clutch. The guy's, I feel like I always see him in a 1vx, and he's probably going to win it, which is...
we measure that, right? It's over 50%.
Yeah.
It's insane. I don't know how he does it. He's a special player, yeah.
I would really consider him like a Mr. Clutch type of player. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot or didn't do a lot of like actual scouting of what he did in CS, but in this game, I mean, it's amazing some of the things he does in the situations he's put into. Absolutely outstanding, talented player, and like Mike said, it was a 2-day process or turnaround since he came into the team. We did the scrim against them. He actually messaged me as soon as the scrim block was over. I messaged him asking if he wanted to try out. We brought him in the next day. He absolutely dominated. Everyone loved him. He was a super amazing guy. He was always very self-critical, always very understanding, could take criticism very well, could give criticism in a good light. Kind of perfect attitude, perfect fit for the team. And like Gunba said, we were missing a Brim player at the time, and when he said he plays Brim right now and he's open to play any other hero in the game or agent in the game, and didn't really care and just wants to be successful and do whatever he can to make a team successful. It was kind of the perfect fit, and super glad to get him, super glad to meet him. He's a great person to talk to, and he's great to give feedback to. He's always super open-minded. It's good stuff.
It feels like this is the hardest part, is like rounding out the team, right? What exactly do we need to find, to give us like the best chance of success, right? So we're getting close to a few people. Hopefully by, I guess this is airing on June 1st, so hopefully by this time there's actually a 5th on our team that we've announced. But we don't want to rush it. We want to make sure that we're still finding somebody who's going to be helpful to the team, at least progressing it forward, and filling the role needs that we need there. So I guess moving from that, what are you guys looking forward to? Obviously competing, number one, but what else? Like, what are you guys looking at?
I think where Valorant's at now, it's a beta, and they're releasing the game, and maybe there'll be some more changes there. But there's obviously a lot of competitive stuff missing, right? Just the way the UI works and like hero picks and stuff like that. There's not many maps in the game. So in terms of what I'm looking forward to, I think one of the big things you should look forward to as a coach always is the opportunity to get further ahead through understanding a game that is more complex. And the game's not necessarily there yet, but that's sort of what I'm looking forward to, right? These like first tournaments where things are kind of structured a bit better. And there's avenues to exploit sort of the teams you're playing against and watch their VODs and kind of go over your own VODs. And just that whole process of developing the team to compete, I think, is something that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, and I guess for me it'd be two things. Number one would be finally locking down a 5th player, so that way we could really start to build all the types of synergy and get really creative and really implement the vision and system that we want full time all the time, and not have to be bouncing back and forth with 3 or 4 or 5 different people that we all think you have potential, but we don't know who's the guy. And then number 2 is going to be the classic arguing with Gunba, because in Overwatch, we argue all the time about what we need to do, how we get there, and making the best decisions that way. And it's the same way in this game, and it's something that I extremely cherish, because I think we come up with a lot of good ideas that way, and we really make sure we follow through on the process. And it's a great time, and sometimes it's frustrating for both of us, but really think it helps us do our jobs better. So
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed watching and got a little bit of insight into how we wanted to approach building this Valorant roster. It's definitely gonna be a process. I know we've kind of said a lot about how we're taking this approach, and it's not something that always yields results right away. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some building, and hopefully you guys are there with us, on the journey. We want to make sure that we're doing things the right way. We want to make sure that we're building something that's sustainable and not just going to be a flavor of the month winner of a tournament. We want to actually build something that people can attach to and grow with as an organization.